Welcome to Crafty Hints and a Merry Christmas to you and yours. I want to say thank you so much to all my subscribers. I appreciate those of you that have been with me for so long and our new friends and family. I do look forward to visiting your comments below and responding to each of them. So give me a thumbs up and let me know if you enjoyed this. For this, I'm using one of those long silver trays and some floral foam. I didn't want it to be up too high above this tray, so I just used something to kind of cut along there, but as I popped it apart, this little piece jumped off of it. So I'm just putting this on here and I glued it back on. Later I ended up adding just a craft stick along the bottom to make sure it held in place. Now I'm taking some of that garland, the one that's flocked that I had picked up at Walmart, and also just some greenery from that other garland that I picked up and showed you that you can just undo the garland, just undo the wire, and then you have all these greenery pieces instead of using a whole bunch of picks. It's just so much more cost efficient if you're someone that's doing a lot of Christmas crafts. So I'm just pointing this out from each side, snipping these as I go. I just want to cover up this foam a bit, kind of get my base in there. This flocked greenery has a couple different types of pine to it. I just use the, evergreen sort of one. Oh my goodness, I need a brush up on my tree types. So I just continue this, kind of mixing in the green along with the white. Later, it doesn't really matter because I did take just a little bit of white paint and went over a little bit of the greenery that I thought might need a little bit of white. Next, I took this bell garland from the Dollar Tree, and I did try just intermixing and kind of winding it in, and I didn't like that. So I took the bells off of there. They just, can kind of tear off. They have a wire to them. So I untwisted that, and I'm just adding it to a pine bough wherever I think it might add just that little bit. I think the white and the silver look pretty together. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it does look pretty all together. You could mix in, if you had another color that you liked, maybe some Christmas bulbs that you put in there, Christmas ornament bulbs, would be pretty in here also. So make it your own. I took these votive candles from the Dollar Tree. I like that they come already with a candle in there. And I'm just making some space there for them so you can kind of move that around. And I had this tree from the Dollar Tree and I'm adding that in there. And that just sits in there. I did add some little white trees in here, but when you see the reveal, I thought that they kind of took away from the one in the center, so I decided to remove the white trees. They just didn't add much, so I'd rather use them in another display elsewhere. Now I'm taking some little pine cones and just placing those in there. I know that the Dollar Tree has some small ones bagged. These are from my backyard. My wonderful nieces and nephews collected them for me. And so they're the gift that just keeps on giving. They found a big bag full of them. They're my handy crafters also. Call them crafty kids. I think they're pretty cool. All right, so just a little bit of paint on those pine cones and a couple of pine boughs that, might be kissed by a little bit of Christmas snow also. So just a little bit of here and there. I'm using Waverly white chalk paint. You could use just acrylic paint, that would be fine. The chalk paint's just going to give you a stronger coverage with one coat. Super simple. I think this is just such a nice, cost-efficient, beautiful centerpiece. And here it is. Those bells just give it a little bit of a shimmer. Kiki, Zaina, and I put together this Christmas centerpiece playlist collaboration. So down below, please visit the playlist and each of these talented ladies. You're going to want to visit their channel because they've done some amazing Christmas DIYs. I took these pine boughs and some Elmer's Craft Bond. I love this because it's that tack all, I guess. And if you spray it on, you want to adhere it within 15 seconds. If not, it just turns into like a Post-it. So it's tacky and you can apply it and you can remove it. So I sprayed all these and I started to apply them. Now, my suggestion would be to just spray maybe one or two at a time and then apply it if you're wanting that permanent hold. And I was a sticky mess and my paper there turned into a giant Post-it. So it's a fun little project and it's not too difficult. I just took one of these glass tall cylinders from the Dollar Tree that you can find in their vase section. And I started out thinking I was going to go all the way around, but I did decide to leave it open in the middle a little bit. So I started applying it all the way around, but did change my mind. It's just a matter of holding them in place until they become firmly adhered to the glass. I did go in little spots where I removed some of the little pine boughs. Gosh, is this cedar? I am not positive. It's in my backyard. So if you know, I guess let me know down below. Gosh, I should have looked that one up, but I love it. They lay flat. They're not super bulky, and it just gives you the feeling of Christmas. Now, you could then fill this up with Epsom salt and put a little tea light or votive candle in there. I'm going to add some pillar candles. Then all you have to do is trim off whatever's hanging at the bottom. Just remember, whatever you're spraying is going to be facing in on the glass. And, so when you lay it out, you're going to want to put your nice side that you want showing out with its back to your paper. So just trim those off. I use these kitchen shears as kind of my do everything, that I don't mind if, they get a little icky or whatever. But just go back across and firmly press this. As you can see, I did take off the one on the front and just going back and, pressing in the little pieces that pop up. And then I want it just a little bit to go across the front, just at the bottom, so that you can see it, but it isn't, obstructing your view of the candle. And so just a little bit more of that spray, and then I'm sticking it right on there. I did 2 different sizes of these vases. I thought that would be pretty, you know, a taller one and then one slightly shorter. Here's my shorter one, so I'm spraying those, and I'm actually spraying on some ones that already had some. I probably could have just started with some fresh ones, but I'm pressing that into place. By now, my hands are opposed to themselves. I end up using a little bit of glue gun on my own hands. So pressing those in place. I did find that if you use, I had a baggie laying, or a box of baggies near me. So I ended up using one of those, and you could use, you know, maybe some plastic wrap also to do this, to avoid your hands getting too sticky, or wax paper. That might be another good option. Here they are. Oh, I think that turned out so pretty. I just put it on a wood round, and I thought this makes a nice little centerpiece, or it'd be pretty on an end table. But it's one that wouldn't obstruct too much of your table. Started off with a silver tray, and then I just took, this was an old Garland. You can see it's seen better days, and I probably should have given it a good shake before I used it this time. But I liked the length and how I could just clip off some strands of it. It didn't have, you know, super thick wire. This one does, but the others that you see laying around didn't have super wire. I took just a little piece of floral foam, and I'm putting that pine all the way around the 4 sides. And then I'm going to lay this right along the edges. I did give it a good shake before I placed it there, so that hopefully it doesn't shed like it did here. So I just had 2 pieces just the same length, and I'm going to glue one on this side, and then I'll glue one on the other side, and then glue down my little centerpiece there. Now I'm taking some of these berries and just snipping off some pieces here. I didn't want it to be, you know, the super focus of just some big berry strands. So I'm just placing this here and there throughout the greenery. And just a little dab of glue with those, and place them wherever you might like. And most of the time I'll use my lower temp glue gun to put those on. Then, you know, as I place them on, it's not too scary. They are small. So I just continue to turn this around and around, making sure that it looks pretty from every side, because if it's a centerpiece, you don't want one side prettier than the other, where something on an end table or something like that, or on a corner or something like that, the back might not be seen. All right, here's some more of my pine cones. I'm just giving those a little bit of glue and tucking those in here and there. And again, you just kind of want to keep turning this so that it's balanced all the way around. Next, I took this wood circle and this brushed metal, painted that, and now we're just going to glue it on top of that floral foam. That way, if, you know, it peeks through underneath my candle, it doesn't look too funny. That metal paint, I believe, was Deco Art. They're all folk art paints. Or plaid paint, I should say. All right, just tucking these around and covering up the rest of that floral foam. Now, I thought this was it. All right, I'm taking my pictures. And as I started editing this, I'm like, not good enough. So back to the drawing board. It needs bells or something, maybe some ornaments, but I didn't want the ornaments to be too big and distracting. So I took these little jingle bells and some floral wire. I just fed it through, gave it a twist, and now I'll tuck it into the foam or wrap it around some other pieces of the greenery. Pretty simple. And I just got the floral wire from the Dollar Tree. So cost efficient, so pretty. And as you saw, I just put a pillar candle there. You could do a battery operated candle. I'll show you a couple of ideas. Now I decided to add a couple bigger pine cones also, just for another texture. I had the smaller pine cones, but I have these bigger pine cones. Just trying to get that wire in there so that it'll hold. Could definitely hot glue it in, but I thought since they were heavier, I would, secure them with some wire. Then I added a little bit of these pit berries in white. Again, everything here can be found at the Dollar Tree. All right, much better. I think, the white brings out the white in the candle, and I think this turned out much prettier. What do you think? Would you have left it alone? I always look forward to reading your comments and reply to everyone. Now, here's that lantern I made in another video, and I thought that turned out pretty as well. Here is one more look at everything we made today. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, give me a thumbs up. If you've enjoyed them so much, you might even want to subscribe. So subscribe and then hit that bell, and you have an option for all. But I really enjoyed putting these together for you and can't wait for the next video. So don't forget to visit the playlist, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget what a special person you are. Have a great day.